Hello, and welcome to this special edition of KDAB News, the monthly update for professionals working with Qt, C++, and 3D technologies. I'm Robert Brock, and our main topic this month is education. How can anyone learn programming? How do children get into coding? And how can you support them as an experienced developer? I'll have two inspiring interview guests to discuss this. One of them, a 12-year-old who has started her own coding school during the pandemic. So, these are the topics. EU Code Week and how to get involved. When should you start to teach children coding? An interview with Nicolas Arnaud-Cormont, a senior software developer here at KDAB. And how I got into coding and started my own coding school. An interview with Sumay McPhail. Qt 6.2 LTS released. A few days ago, Code Week started. It is a grassroots initiative which aims to bring coding and digital literacy to everybody in a fun and engaging way. With this news edition, we want to support this important topic and inspire you to get involved and, in one way or another, to pass your knowledge on, especially to children. Code Week offers a broad variety of activities in almost all the European countries, and also in some others across the globe. It lasts until the 24th of October, so actually it's 2 weeks. The offers are aimed at all audiences from pre-primary school, teenagers, college students, to adults. Anyone can offer and participate in the activities. There are also challenges like make a chatbot, create a paper circuit, make a musical composition, train an AI bot, and many more. Besides the activities and challenges, there's also a ton of online learning and teaching materials. Everything is available on codeweek.eu, also linked below. Go check it out and enjoy. As mentioned in the beginning, with this edition we would like to show some examples of how software developers get into teaching kids coding. Often, that is when they themselves have children and start explaining to them what they do at work. My first interview guest, Nicolas, is no exception. He's going to share some of his experiences with us now. Hello, Nicolas, and thanks for joining me.
Hello, Robert. Thank you for having me today.
I have a couple of questions for this month's edition of Coding for Children. Firstly, how did you get interested in the Coding for Children?
So, as you may know, I have a 7-year-old daughter, and when she was 2 or 3, I was wondering how can I teach her coding. Different reasons for that. One, I just wanted her to have a glimpse of my world as a developer. Second, I believe that in our world nowadays, it's important to have a coding education, just to be able to solve problems in school or in life. And last but not least, I just wanted to have fun with her. So I didn't want to start right away with C++ move semantic. So I look around on the net and find different way to teach coding for kids. If you want to do that yourself, you can use keyword STEM, S-T-E-M. That's an acronym and it means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So just look for STEM for kids and you'll have thousands of links.
Oh yeah, definitely. STEM has some other acronym variations, but out of all of them, it's the most widely used across the globe. Next, what teaching methods would you recommend?
So, depending on the age, you can do different things. Before 3, it's too early. The brain is still growing. They are learning basic things like how to speak, how to interact with people. So forget about it. From 3 to 6, you can start with the basic of coding. What is an instruction? What is a program? What is an algorithm? The important thing at this age is to avoid any screens. You need something tangible, something concrete they can play with, like a robot. For example, I bought this small robot. Look, nice one. And it comes with cards where you can actually write your program. Oops. And you enter the program in a robot. No screens. And the interesting part with that is that they are also learning about space because they need to use a different referential. They need to put themselves in the shoes of a robot to create the program. From 6 to 9, it's getting a bit more interesting because you can add instructions, you can add branches like conditions or loops. And you can start using a computer to create the program using some visual language like Scratch or Blockly for kids. This is, I printed out a Scratch program. You can see it's really, really visual and everybody can understand it. I would still recommend to use something tangible, concrete to play with, like a robot. So you create the program on the computer and then you use a robot like this one. I bought this one. Nice one because you can personalize it with Lego blocks. After 9, 12, to be honest, it's new territory for me because I'm not there yet with my daughter, but I expect to do computer-only programming, still using Scratch or Blockly, and probably a bit of electronics. There are thousands of electronic kits available where you have some small electronic pieces you can put together to create something bigger. And after 12, no restrictions. It all depends on what you want to do with your kid and actually what your kid wants to do. So you have a world of possibilities. Obviously, all those ages depend on the kid, so you can go slower or faster. It all depends.
Indeed. It wouldn't make sense if you jumped right in with a computer before the child could even read or write. You found some very good alternatives across the age groups there. And finally, have you also learned anything from the process so far?
I learned one important skill, patience, because it's really frustrating to see your kids struggling with a simple program. You just want to go in and help them right away, or you want to fix the obvious error you see in the program. But you need to wait to let your kid try it, see that it doesn't work, and discuss with him or her why. So they are learning by trials and errors. They are not learning by you pointing to a mistake. So that's the number one skill you need.
Another great point. Patience can save both of you from getting frustrated. Not that coding ever causes anyone to get frustrated. Well, thank you for those answers. Do you have anything else you would like to add?
Yes, 3 words, get some fun, because that's the most important. You are playing with your kids. It's not homework or duty. It's something fun you want to do with your kid. So don't force it. Let them play. Let them do some mistake and make sure they have some fun.
Fun things are much easier to learn. You showed some of the tools like those robots, which I'm sure help with that. Thanks again for the interview, Nicolas.
Thank you very much, Robert.
My second interview guest, Sume, has started to learn coding 6 years ago. Today, she is 12 and already teaches other kids in her online school called Wickwill. That sounds really amazing. Hi, Sume. Great to have you here. In this news edition, we are talking about how kids started with programming. So how did you get into it and what made you stick with it?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And the way I got into programming is when I was around 5 or 6, I was introduced to Scratch and I just thought it was really fun. But just since a lot of the things you can only do certain things just because it's restricted and you're not actually typing the code, it's just drag and drop blocks, I started getting into Python. And what really made me stick with it was I realized the application of it. I think a lot of kids, they start with programming and they're like learning all of the tools, but they get bored with it because they don't see how is this relevant to me? How can I actually use this in my life? And so I think that's why I stuck with it, is that I kind of experimented with some of the code and saw like this can actually really help me with all of the things that I'm doing in my life. And that's just how then I realized how it was useful. So that's why I stuck with it.
Yeah, it's important to move onwards in programming as you outgrow a previous tool. Scratch is a great tool that we'll link below, but with the dragging blocks, it has limited capabilities to progress and you can easily outgrow it. Python is actually a very good language to transition to, so great choice there. You didn't just learn programming at a very young age though, but also studied your own coding school, which is no mean feat. Can you tell me a bit more about it, and when did you found it and why?
So when I was, I think 8, I was thinking about teaching some of my sister's friends Python. And so I guess I just wanted to start teaching more kids about how they could try to start coding and to actually and to kind of teach it in my way, because I think one of the reasons why we have a lot of kids in Wequel school who are teaching their coding classes, and they're really good teachers because they remember what it was like not to know some of these concepts and not to know these programming languages, whereas with like experts who have been doing it for 10 years, maybe they don't really remember when it was really hard and you had to go through all of those struggles. So I really liked teaching it in that way because I knew what it was like, and I could like feel their struggles with them, and I knew how to try to explain it to myself when I was first starting. So that was when I founded it, and I just really liked teaching, and I also really liked teaching it in a way that really got people excited.
That's very true about industry experts, sometimes forgetting what it was like to be a student and starting from the rather daunting beginning. Sometimes you get really thick books. I guess we could be talking about this for much longer than we have time for in this format, but one final question. Our viewers are mainly adults who are already programmers. What advice would you give them to encourage and support kids to get into programming?
I think just like the thing that I mentioned earlier, which is show how it can actually be applied. Why is this actually useful? Why am I learning these things? And once you realize like this can help me with so many things, all of the things that I'm doing that are just manual can be automated. Here's how I can use programming in my life and how I can actually really help myself and others to in a scalable way. And that's something that's really important with programming, is like you can reach so many people. You can just sit down at your computer, write a few lines of code, and make the world a better place. And so I think having just like, if you show kids that that's a possibility and that's something that they can do, I think that's just going to get them really excited.
Yeah, excitement is coming back to the fun side of things. Thank you for your time, and hopefully we'll speak again to you in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We've linked Wequel's YouTube channel and website below. I hope you enjoyed our feature topics, and if you have any recommendations regarding programming education for our viewers, please feel free to share them in the comments below. On to more news. 2 weeks ago, Qt 6.2 has been released. It is the first Qt 6 version with long-time support. It also is the first version that includes essentially all the additional modules that you were used to in Qt 5.15, such as Qt Multimedia, Qt Serial Bus, Qt Remote Objects, just to name a few. You'll find a complete list of the added modules in the article linked below. Also, QML tooling has seen some larger improvements. There's now a public CMake API which simplifies the process of creating your own QML module. The QML linter, QML-lint, is a tool that checks QML source code for best practices, potential coding and performance problems, and helps writing more maintainable QML. Learn more about it in the article linked below, or join the free Qt World Summit online on the 3rd and 4th of November. From the 24th to the 29th of October, there's CPPCon, both as an in-person event in Aurora, Colorado, and online, also in Colorado. Among the long list of interesting speakers and topics, our colleague Ivan Čukić will talk about design idioms from an alternate universe as part of the software design track. Find out more about the program on cppcon.org. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and feel free to share any feedback or questions below the video. I'll see you next time.